I wanted to do a little video to talk about a 3-step method of dealing with anxiety that I have found to be very effective and people find to be very effective. Now, this is very useful in dealing with anxiety as soon as you are aware that you're anxious. So we know that when we get anxious, we are worrying about something. Usually it's something in the future, the prospect of something happening. So let's say you have a visit to the doctor planned and you are now nervous or anxious about what could come out of that visit. Maybe your anxiety is around health, and therefore you start to think, what if it's bad news? What if I have this disease? What if I'm going to be sick? What if I'm going to die? And so on and so forth, right? So what we want to do, as soon as we tune into that emotion and we're aware that we're anxious, the first thing I want you to do is to get a piece of paper and write down what's going on. Now, it doesn't have to be writing. You could do it on your phone if you choose to, but you need to journal to get the thoughts out of your head, because the reason why this is important is that anxiety is in our head. Like, we have thoughts running around, and if we do not get in touch with those thoughts and deal with them, they're just going to get big and loud and noisy, and then they'll we start with one thing and we end up somewhere else. We might start with health anxiety, and then that can transpire to social anxiety and something else, and your thoughts will just keep going and going. So remember, your anxiety is not trying to hurt you, it's trying to help you. So it will try to do all these things because it thinks it's helpful, but really what's happening is you're just spiraling out of control with your thoughts. So get a piece of paper or journal if you have one, or you can do it on your phone. Just write down what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, my symptoms, what is scaring me, anything that you are clear about regarding that anxiety at that point in time. Sometimes we get anxious and we're not really sure why, although usually there is a reason. But when we get so anxious, we're not able to kind of logically think about it. Just write down whatever you can write down, whether it's the emotions you're feeling, the feelings you're feeling, the symptoms you're feeling. Write it down immediately. The next thing you can do is, once you've written down what is going on, you need to talk to your anxiety. Now, I talk a lot about understanding that you are not your anxiety. Your anxiety is just a thing that you have. It's just like if you had a headache, you say, I have a headache, right? You don't say, I am a headache. So you are not anxiety. Anxiety is just a thing. So what you can do, which is also really useful, and I'll talk about this in more detail in a separate video, is learning how to talk to your anxiety as if you were talking to a person. So basically, when you have written down the stuff, you can start to question what you've written down, like, oh, you have cancer. That's what's going to happen when you go to the doctor. What if I don't? What if I'm perfectly fine? You start to challenge it, but not in a hostile way. Because remember, anxiety is not your enemy. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to help you. So what you're trying to do is learn how to react softly and with compassion to this voice. And as time goes on, the more often you do that, the easier it gets to interact with anxiety. And you have to learn how to interact with it so that you learn how to cope and manage with it. So start to talk to it. Look at what you've written down. Challenge some of the things that are there. What is the evidence that this is true? I know you're trying to help me, but I am fine. Repeat some affirmations if you need to. I am safe. I am happy. I am at peace. I've talked about the loving kindness meditation before. This is very useful in grounding yourself. And the third thing that you need to do to address the anxiety immediately, remember, this must be done as soon as possible. The third thing that you need to do is to do one of your wellness strategies. So I think everyone who has anxiety, I've talked about wellness toolkits in previous videos. Everyone who has anxiety should have a list, or even if it's not a list that's written out, should know in their head, there are 5 things that help me with my anxiety. There are 5 things I can do that I know immediately calms me down. Mine, for example, are deep breathing, walking in nature, exercise helps me, music helps me, watching something funny. Those are probably my top 5, right? So when an anxiety attack happens, I do the first thing, which is what is going on. Write it down, put it in your phone, whatever. Second thing is, what am I going to do next in terms of talking to my anxiety? So I look at the stuff that I've written down and I challenge some of those things. Something's going to happen to you. There is no evidence of that, right? I know you're trying to help me. I am fine. I am at peace, I am safe, and so on. And then the third thing I'll do immediately, providing I can do it safely at wherever I am. So for example, you may be at work, you may not be able to just get up and walk off and go for a walk, but you might be able to listen to some music on your headphones, or you might be able to watch a clip of something funny very quickly. Do one of those wellness strategies immediately, because these are things you already know help you. The thing is, a lot of the time when we get anxiety, people kind of become hopeless and they hold their hands up. I don't know what to do. And they crawl into bed. The worst thing you can do. And I know that there are times when this is all you can do. That's fine. But if you're actively trying to work on your anxiety, you've got to take responsibility. It's not your fault that you have anxiety, but it's your responsibility to do the work that is needed so that you can get better. And taking responsibility simply means don't just sit there. Think of, what can I do? What are all the strategies I've heard of? What are the things I can try? I find it very interesting when I talk to people and I say, do you journal? No, I don't really journal. Do you do this? No, I don't really. And they dismiss things they've never even tried them. But because in their head they've told themselves, this is boring, I don't like walking, I don't like exercise, I don't want to hear these things. But the reason we keep repeating these things, the reason you keep seeing them on every post and every wellness person, well-being practitioner and psychologist and name it, the reason you keep seeing the same things is because these are the things that work. So stop deflecting those things and saying, I don't like walking in nature. Maybe you don't, but maybe you are going to have to walk in nature to get better. So it's about making choices and taking responsibility when you can. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, as usual, send me a message. Take care.